of the flowers and the inflorescence is high. And that's why it's the problem that you're trying to solve here by using the various agents to induce flowering. And attempts have been made in other jurisdictions to overcome this challenge. One of it is grafting using the rootstock, which are from highly flowering clones, and the scions from the clones which don't flower. So there they utilize the fact that the proteins, especially the flowering proteins, they are mobile within the plant. So they'll move from where they are made, especially in the rootstock, to the scions. And plant growth regulators also have been used. That is benzyladenine, silver thiosulfate, and others. And also genome editing. Genome editing has been used to induce flowering. And on this, there's the insertion of those sequences which express the sequence that will be used in flowering. And also pruning. And here, when we talk about pruning, it's not the normal pruning that you get a very big, you cut a very big of the plant. But here is on the inflorescence, the small, or rather the small parts of the inflorescence that will form the branches, they are the ones that are pruned. And they have been shown to induce flowering with the pruning here, it strengthens the apical dominance and reduces abortion. And lights, especially the red lights, have been used to induce flowering. And in our study here, we used white lights. And for this induction of flowering, here in Kenya, this is the first attempt, and we'll see what we did and where we did our experiment and our results, so that when we conclude, we know what was done. So this study was carried out at KALRO Horticultural Research Institute in Thika, and it was set as two experiments. One experiment used the plant growth regulators, that is benzyladenine, silver thiosulfate, and pruning as one treatment. And the second treatment is whereby we used the white lights to induce the flowering. And on the white lights, we broke the night. By breaking the night, we mean cassava is along the plant. So by breaking the night is you want to increase the duration of the light so that it can influence flowering. And the first experiment of the plant growth regulators and pruning, it was set in a randomized complete block design with 4 replication, and within the replication we had the control, and we had 5 plants per plot. For the other experiment, the second experiment, we did set also in a randomized complete block design with 12 replication and 3 plots per plant. And the control of this experiment was put in 1 kilometer away, and we didn't use light there. And the lights were coming on automatically at night at 10:30 a.m. and going off at 10:30 p.m. at night and going off 1:30 a.m. in the morning. Before that, so on the other side, those are the clones that we used. And these clones, they're also resistant to cassava brown streak disease. So we wanted to induce them so that you can use them for crossing. And as you can see, there are those clones which were used in experiment 1 and experiment 2. And their variation in terms of their resistance to cassava brown streak. So what you're seeing there, on A, that is the method that I used in application of the benzyladenine. That is a spray method. You sprayed the apical leaves, and I was spraying once a week. And for the second method, that is the petiole method. For the petiole method, I remove the leaf lobe. You cut with a sharp blade. You remove the leaf lobe, and then you insert that petiole to the solution that contains silver thiosulfate. And the other image is just to show how the pruning was done. The other image is the experiment 2, and maybe I could have a pointer just to show. Pointer, okay. So the other one is just to show the measurements of the field. It was measuring 12 by 8 meters. And those in red, those are the lights. And this in red, these are the lights. And the lights were placed in such a way that those, the way the light was emitting, the wavelength could reach all the plants. And this on the ground, this is the way things were, and this below here, this is just to show that as the experiment was going on, we were also measuring the wavelength, just to make sure that the wavelength that is required for flowering are the wavelength that our plants were getting. And we're using a light spectrometer. So the results, this for the first experiment, the result shows that from the parameters that we used for collection of data, it was in terms of number of flowers, they were significant. Number of fruits, significant. Height to first branching, it was not significant, and we shall discuss that. And days to flowering, it was not significant, meaning that our treatment didn't have any effect on those two parameters, but it had effect on the other parameters. So in terms of the bar graph, as you can see on the far left, that is the A, those are to show how the number of flowers were, and as you can see, this is the treatment versus the control. And with the treatment, you can see the flowers were outperforming the control. And the same with the number of fruits. The same, this other one is days to flowering. There was no effect on the days to flowering. And this other one was seeds, and it was significant. And this does the Pearson correlation, and there were those parameters which were correlating significantly, like the number of flowers and seeds. And these are the results for the experiment 2, and for the experiment 2, as you can see from this ANOVA and the Pearson correlation. For the ANOVA, the parameters were, all of them were significant. That is the number of female flowers, the number of fruits, number of nodes, and height to first branching. Of importance here for this experiment 2 is this light affected the plant architecture. In flowering in cassava, every branching event is a flowering event. And this is the graph just to show the flowers. And as you can see here, this is the treatment where we had the lights, and then this is the 9 treatment. And this other one is also the number of fruits. And as you can see with flowers and fruits, they go together. Where we have more flowers, there also more number of fruits. So this other one is just about the other parameters, that is the shoot weight and the root weight. I know in this experiment, this is not the time to collect such parameters, because this is not, these clones at the stage they were, they cannot give the actual picture on how shoot weight and root weight, but it was just to see that did this light have any effect on shoot weight and root weight. And as you can see on both this A and B, light had effect on shoot weight and root weight. So on discussion is this, the treatment that in the first experiment induced and increased number of female flowers, which were collaborating with Oluwasanya. And on the silver thiosulfate as a plant growth regulator, it provides silver as an ionic complex, which binds to the ethylene pathway, and by that it blocks that pathway, so ethylene cannot be produced. And in turn, this prolongs the longevity and also reduces abortion. On the other hand, there is this one clone that apart from being treated with this growth regulator, pruning, it aborted the flower and the inflorescence. And with this gives an opportunity to conclude that before you undertake such study, it's good to screen your genotypes just to get to know your sensitivity. How sensitive are your genotypes with this plant growth regulator? Because we are out setting to use this growth regulator to induce, but it affected it in the opposite way. And benzyladenine as a plant growth regulator, it feminizes the flowers. It changes from male to female. And also, as I talked about, pruning does affect the inflorescence by strengthening the inflorescence and also prevents abortion. And the night breaks, this is now an experiment too. The night breaks increase number of female flowers, which corroborates with what was done by Baguma. And also on the same, high abortion was observed in this clone, DSC 272, under the light experiment. Also with this, it gives an opportunity to screen genotypes for their sensitivity to light. And also night breaks reduce the time to flowering, and with this reduction of time to flowering can be used in speed breeding, just to reduce the breeding cycle. And also the reduction of time to flowering can be used to synchronize pollination, which asynchronous pollination is a challenge in cassava. So in conclusion, these two approaches can be used as one. You use plant growth regulators, pruning and lights to induce flowering.
In progress.
And also, this being a first attempt in Kenya, it was successful, and it can be used to enhance and to induce and enhance flowering in Kenyan condition. And again, you are saying before you set out for this such experiment, it's good to screen your genotypes so that you can be able to know their sensitivities to plant growth regulators and the light. And also, this is the first attempt on cassava using white LED lights. In other jurisdictions, they have used red LED lights. So this success can be used in countries which cannot access the red lights. And this is the last slide. I thank you all for listening, and also acknowledge Egerton, SESAM, IITA, and KEFIS. Thank you.
Thank you, Bare, for keeping time. I think let's give him another clap. ICT, from what I feel, is that you are on now, isn't it? Is it true?
Yes, it's true.
Okay, so I think the presenter who we stopped was just at conclusion, so we will just let her be on for purposes of questions. I think it is okay. We got almost everything. Now, I would like to request Murioki, I know you need your, are you there? Yeah, I know you need your other co-authors to be online. I'm sure they are online. Those who are connected online, who are they? You can come and show your presentation as you welcome them too. And please, as we said, if you have any questions, write your questions on the papers that are given around. Please, we can have someone to share them. And we'll only be allowing one question per presentation. The others will pass so that they can be able to address them as we go for break.
Good evening, everyone. I think as we put up our PowerPoint, my name is Mary Muroki. I've written this paper with Dr. Waswa, Dr. Robert Fungo, and Professor Mahungu, and a team from SIAT, Uganda, and Burundi. I would also want to recognize the presence of Sylvia Wanjiru and Diana Njoki, who are joining me online. So how many of us love beans, common beans? In the last 1 week, how many of us have consumed beans by a show of hands? Awesome. And so this is me, and I'm the girl who came back to school just to study beans. So what you're going to look at today is the effect of cooking on nutritional characteristics of biofortified common beans. And these beans are grown in Burundi, but developed by the Pan-African Bean Research Alliance. You can check them online. And they are also present in Kenya, in Calro. So We have all said that we do consume beans. So what are these befortified common beans we are talking about? Befortification, to begin with, refers to genetic or agricultural modification of staple crops to improve their nutritional composition and other important agricultural traits. Nutritional composition, you're talking about the mineral composition such as iron, zinc, we have magnesium, and the agricultural trait is to increase their yields or also to make sure that they are disease resistant. Now, these befortified beans in Burundi, they have better cooking properties in terms of cooking time, water absorption capacity, and cooking yield. By cooking yield, I'm meaning what we call in Kenya, when you cook beans, maybe they will have a sufuria, but by the time they are being cooked, zimeongezeka like a double portion. So that is what is cooking yield. Then they have also contributed to gender equity in terms of women are into bean farming, and they're also selling these beans, and not only selling the beans, but they have also developed different bean products such as bean noodles, and they're using them to meet their income security and also contribute to food and nutrition security. Now, we do not eat common beans when they are raw. We have to cook them. So the thermal processing enhances palatability of these beans. It inactivates toxic compounds such as phytic acid, we have totophenolic components, and another compound which contributes to gastric upset. I think that's why most of us prefer yellow beans to other beans, because they're like, if I take yellow beans, I don't have a gastric upset. And they also impart on the sensorial properties of the beans. Now, for this paper, I'm only checking on the effect of cooking on these components. We have already done some work on the cooking properties and also some work on bioavailability of minerals. So you can check that online, Muroki et al. 2023 and 2024. So what is the problem that we are solving? Now we have these bean varieties, they are new varieties. However, in the case of Burundi, they haven't been assessed for the nutritional composition. So that information is still scarce, and that's why we did this study at a household level, not at a laboratory level. We used 10 bean varieties, and from these varieties, we have the RWR 1129 and RWV 1272, which are bush type. Bush type means they only grow at the ground level. Then the rest are climbing varieties. Climbing varieties, you have to support them with maybe a stick so that they can grow. We used to call that in primary school, tendrils, if I'm not wrong. And then for the study sites, we did this at Egerton University, the analysis. We also do the anti-nutritional composition at Calron Joro. And then for the cooking time, we did at Kawanda Research Station in Uganda. We had two factors, which is the 10 bean varieties and also two pre-treatment methods where some of the beans were soaked and the rest were not soaked. So in a nutshell, what we did is using a CRD arranged in a 2-factorial arrangement. So these are some of the photos of the common bean varieties. Kindly, I hope you'll remember this, because the darker the bean varieties, the more the anti-nutritional composition, and that is what really interferes with nutrient absorption when it comes to common beans. And if you have used yellow beans, you know they're a bit lighter compared to our Wairimo, which is a bit dark, and that's why you go for the yellow beans instead of the Wairimo, even though we still use the Wairimo. Now for the results and discussion, we are going to start with the proximate composition. This is the ash, the protein, the fiber, the fat, and the carbohydrates. Now interestingly, we find that for the ash composition, there was an increase and a decrease in all these components, and we could attribute to this leaching of the ash in the cooking broth, and also some of it in the soaking water. In terms of proteins, there was an increase in protein and also a decrease in protein in some of these varieties, and this can be attributed to bean processing methods such as cooking, which which some studies show, for example, if you do fermentation, if you do germination, the protein content is going to increase. Interestingly, when it comes to beans, we don't really look at protein, but more so lysine, because compared to other cereal grains, beans are high in this lysine. Lysine is an essential amino acid, and that's why up to today you hear githeri is nutritious. Why? Because it has higher concentration of lysine compared, the beans have higher concentration of lysine compared to maize. Now, interestingly, a half cup of beans will serve you 16% of the protein, but 25% of the lysine. And if we combine these two, you find that we have a complementary feeding method, which is very suitable when it comes to elevating protein energy malnutrition that affects a whole of our population, not only in Kenya, but also in Africa and other developing countries. Now, apart from boiling, you can also ferment beans, you can also germinate beans, you can also roast beans. And for our study, we didn't do that, and therefore one of the recommendations will be that some other studies incorporate these preparation methods so that we can see how much of the nutrient can we really benefit from these beans. In terms of the fiber component, there was also an increase and a decrease in this, and that could be attributed to cooking really interfering with some of the fibers such as gum, such as lectin, which is also in beans. In terms of fat, there was a decrease in the fat component in some varieties and an increase in that. And that could be attributed to fat really being leached to the cooking broth. Now, for the carbohydrates, there was a decrease in carbohydrates in almost all the varieties, and we can attribute this to the other food components that really contribute generally to the carbohydrate component. Yeah, I have discussed that. Let's go to the anti-nutrient composition. By anti-nutrient, we are talking about phytic acid, total phenolic components, and condensed tannins. Anti-nutrients means something that is not supporting some of the nutrients that we require in the body. So for the phytic acid, there was an increase after cooking and a decrease in that. And this could be explained by the fact that phytic acid is heat stable, and therefore an increase, explaining the increase in some of these varieties, and also cooking generally reduces phytic acid, therefore explaining the decrease in some. For the total phenolics are water soluble, and therefore the cooking process and also the soaking process contributed to a reduction in this, and the same case for condensed tannins. Now I want you to note that phytic acid, total phenolics, and condensed tannins, they really interfere with protein digestibility, protein absorption, and also the availability of iron and zinc. And therefore when you go home, anytime you are the one preparing the beans or it's mama preparing the beans, please tell them to soak them and just discard the soaking water. That is the relationship between the anti-nutritional components and the proximate factors. And I would like to just talk about condensed tannins and total phenolics because it had a strong relationship between these two. Therefore, if you increase total phenolic composition or condensed tannin composition, you'll have an increase or decrease in either of the components by 59.4%. The final bit is comparing these beans to a non-traditional variety which was a negative control. And the results that I would want to explain is that for the total phenolic components, the biofortified bean cooking, the biofortified beans varieties had a greater effect in that the biofortified bean varieties had less total phenolic components compared to the non-biofortified, therefore meaning they did awesome. Yeah. And now, in conclusion, I will say fortified common beans, they are a rich source of micronutrients. In terms of proteins, we have seen the crude fiber, we have seen the crude fat. They also contain anti-nutrients, just as the other non-fortified beans. We have looked at condensed tannins, total phenolics, and also phytic acid. And these interfere with absorption, digestibility of other nutrients, proteins, and also our mineral composition. Additionally, cooking is a process, one of the processing method, which really reduced the anti-nutritional levels in these beans and therefore enhancing the nutritional quality of these biofortified common beans. And what happens after post-cooking? For the varieties that did well, we will say Mark 70, and we have the RWR 2245, had the highest, greatest reduction in phytic acid. And therefore, for programs such as that deal with school meals or maybe pregnant women, we could encourage the use of this in formulating feeds for them. And also the other 3 varieties that we have mentioned, this that did well compared to Kinure, which is a traditional variety grown in Burundi and also preferred by the consumers. And in our recommendations, I will recommend, just like I'm starting right now, that we do community nutrition outreaches so that we educate bean farmers and consumers on how they can really benefit from consuming these beans regarding as a result of their nutritional composition and also being low in phytic acid, the anti-nutritional factors, and also being high in iron and zinc, though that I have not presented that paper here, but it is available. Also, we could do community outreaches in just educating people to better prepare these beans. Do not just cook beans without soaking them. Soak and discard the soaking water so that you reduce on the anti-nutritional factors. You ensure your protein is well digested, absorbed, and also in terms of mineral composition, your body is actually absorbing enough of this. We could also explore other methods such as fermentation. We have roasting, we have germination. Research has shown that these cooking methods, they really impact on the protein composition, which is very key, not only for children, but even for women in reproductive age and also for the elderly. And in conclusion, our study did not put into account the nutrients that were leached in the soaking water and also in the cooking broth. So we recommend a study that looks into it, considering this is the first study in Burundi that is looking into these beans that have been released by the PABRA organization. And my beloved audience, I will want to encourage I would want to acknowledge CIAT for funding part of this study, CESAM, and I have Prof here for also funding this study, my supervisors, and my whole team, and you, my audience. I haven't seen anyone shaking. In Burundi, we say, orakoze, meaning, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Muroki. Can you say urakuze? Urakozi. Professor Bebe, you didn't say it correctly. So I want to indulge that we only hear one, then we have questions. I said for purpose of saving time, I know you have been sitting for long. So Ntabo, if you are there, is it online? And then after Ntabo, we can get 10 minutes of questions. Please note your questions for the presenters. Is Ntabo online?
Ntabo?
Online, I thought.
It should be online, but he is not responding. Ntabo, can you hear us?
There is a team online in the main session, so if they can be moved to the breakout, this breakout room is good. There is a team there that is not connected.
Can you say that again, please?
Can you say it again?
I'm saying there is a team online which is in the main session. So when in the main session, we are not able to hear what is happening. So I've just logged into the breakout room here, and I'm able to see everything. So there's a time the breakout room is off, the main session is on. The time the main session is off, the breakout session is on. So there's that lapse of connection.
So we just proceed. Even Hassan is now in the breakout, so he cannot get, okay. So I think it's on. Alex, can you sort those ones, eh? So that means Tabo is mixed in between, eh? So can we hear Nje if you are ready? I think Nje is here. You are sleeping. Welcome. Just 10 minutes and then we break for a few questions as we go on. Eh? Don't worry, the flower is here. Just come. This flower of time.
My slides.
The presentation, is it back there?
Yeah, it is with them.
Victor,
Not here?
the presentation.
But there's one here. So the presentations. Let's get. Check.
It's not the updated one.
It's not updated. Please, do you have updated one?
You sent it to someone.
You sent it? Okay. So you connect. Let's connect.
Where is your share screen?
Show me something.
Is this one online?
No, it's not online.
Is it not online?
This is not online.
Now how will we get?
But you can still log in from here. It was logged in.
Huh? It was logged. So we did that. Okay. Just proceed.
Sorry.
No, click this link. Now then put the presentation. So presentation more than presentation. I think so, yes. Good. Okay, let me welcome her fresh. You are now okay?
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Maria Manjai, and my co-authors are Professor Bebe and Dr. Orenge. I'll be presenting on knowledge, attitude, and practices of antimicrobial use in dairy herds in Nakuru pre-urban area in Kenya. Antimicrobial use have increased in intensification of dairy production due to the increase of animal protein demand from the population. However, the misuse or inappropriate use of antimicrobials in dairy farms have posed a public health risk, which is associated with the increase of antimicrobial residues in animal source of food, antimicrobial resistance pathogen, and eventually treatment failure in both humans and animals. Literature review has shown that the knowledge, attitude, and practices, that is the CAP, on dairy farms of the use of antimicrobials have shown that 40% of veterinary antimicrobials are sold without prescription. That is like they just buy it from the counter without being prescribed by either the doctors or the vet assistants. And also 18.5 18.5 antimicrobial drugs purposely for humans are also used by some of the farmers to treat their animals. There is also low knowledge and negative attitude of farmers towards zoonosis and antimicrobial drug residues. Yet there is a little or no draft knowledge of knowledge, attitude, and practices of antimicrobial use residues among pre-urban smallholder dairy farmers in Kenya. The objective of the studies, hypothesis says that intensification of the dairy production likely influenced the CAP, that is the knowledge, attitude, and practices of antimicrobial use. Objective of the study is to expose the knowledge, attitude, and practices of antimicrobial use in different dairy production systems in smallholder dairy farmers. A cross-sectional study was done in smallholder dairy farmers in pre-urban Nakuru area, pre-urban Nakuru area. Questionnaires were used to find out to explore the knowledge, attitude, and practices of antimicrobial use. Chi-square test associated chi-square test statistics for independency between CAPs and dairy productions were done on the analysis. For knowledge, it shows that there was no significant, despite being the dairy production system recently being intensified, there are a number of farmers that do not use antimicrobials, both for treatment and purpose or for growth hormones. They don't use antimicrobial drugs. And those that are using antimicrobial drugs, they are mostly using it for either treatment, for prevention, and for growth hormones. Despite the system being intensified, most of the system being intensified, there was no significant difference, or there's no association between the use of antimicrobials when it comes to the purpose of antimicrobials within the systems, when it comes to the purpose, myotitis treatment, and source of information. Yet there was a significant difference in milk sales observation during withdrawal period. The other one, there was a significant difference in the use of in the sales of milk during the withdrawal period. Also, the increase in intensification of the system have a difference in not selling. If you look at the graph, most of the ones that are not selling are mostly on the zero grazing. That are the ones that are mostly intensified, and those are also the farmers that are mostly feeding the milk from the treated cows to the calves instead of selling. When it comes to attitude, intensification was consistently positively has a positive attitude towards antimicrobial use. If you look at the graphs, for using myotitis treatment cannot be treated without antimicrobials, and treated milk can be transferred to and can be harmful to humans. Antimicrobial residues can accumulate in the soil, and also antimicrobial resistant pathogens can be passed to humans. All the zero grazing, that is the green lines, we are higher. They are showing more positive attitude towards these questions. But yet, if you look at for the other ones, example, free grazing has a more positive attitude on harmful antimicrobial resistance can be passed to humans than the semi-grazing. Semi-grazing has more positive attitude than the free grazing when it comes to that antimicrobials can be passed from humans, can be passed to humans. And more zero grazing have positive attitude than semi-grazing, than the antibiotics can be treated without antimicrobial drugs, and also antimicrobial residues can be passed through the soil. These attitudes, they were all not significant. There was no significant difference between these attitudes when it comes to drugs can be used to be treated like lactate, like any drug. Like all of them do not have any significant difference. And also when it comes to the observation of the withdrawal period, sales and distribution, like sales and distribution of drugs should be resisted to only licensed people, relationship between antimicrobial use and resistance, and also drug residues occur when prudent use, when antimicrobials are used prudently. There was no significant difference between all the production systems. For the practices, there was a significant difference in terms of intensification of the production system when it comes to prescription and administration of drugs. Self-administration of drugs were higher in free grazing, which is a system that is less intensified. That is the free grazing system. And also, myotitis increases as intensification increases. So it can show that like use of antimicrobials may be more significant and increase when as intensification of the production system increases. The common diseases across all the production systems were not significantly different. They were like almost the same. For these practices, you have other practices that have the yes and no answers. For observation of withdrawal period, and also for the farmers that had training on antimicrobial use, residues, and antimicrobial resistance and residues, there was a significant difference as the intensification of the system increases. Yet, there was a high use of human drugs to treat the animals. From these results, I concluded that there is high use of antimicrobial drugs to treat myotitis due to the intensification of the production system, despite some of the, like most of the farmers being trained or having the knowledge of antimicrobial use and antimicrobial resistance, increasing according to the intensification, there are still a negative and a poor practices observed within the systems. Use of milk use of milk before the observation of the withdrawal period, use of human drugs on livestock livestock farms, and also the use of antimicrobial drugs without prescription and self-administration. There are a few recommendations for this research, that is the implementation of stewardship program to improve farmers' knowledge and promote responsible antimicrobial use in the farms, and also there should be a monitoring and surveillance of antimicrobial patterns and antimicrobial resistance levels in the dairy to inform evidence-based policies and interventions. Encourage and encourage collaborative efforts involving farmers, that is all the stakeholders within that dairy system, farmers, extension workers, veterinary services, and other stakeholders to promote prudent use of antimicrobials and mitigate the development of antimicrobial resistance. I would like to acknowledge the dairy farmers in Nakuru pre-urban area, also Department of Animal Science, Egerton University, Livestock Department Services, my country, the Gambia, and my supervisors for taking me through. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How do you say thank you in Gambia? Okay, I've forgotten already. Jerry Jerry. Okay, thank you. Can we give a clap? Now we have 10 minutes. We would like to have reflections and questions for the presentations, and then after that we'll have Nanjom come and present, and then we'll get 3 more. We only have 4, isn't it? I think we had Hassan at the beginning. Hassan, are you still online? Okay. And then he seems to be there.
Yes.
Hassan, you are still there?
Yeah.
Just keep it for 10 minutes, then we can relax you. Then we have Molapo. You are here. She was also online. Are you there? Molapo, are you there? Bare is here. And then Muroki. And of course, Nje. So please, let's... Okay. Please, let's get some reactions. A question per presenter.
Supposed to present online.
Okay. A question per presenter, the others you can pass on. And also questions from online, please, ICT. They must be in the chat. Huh? You can write them up for each. Please, let's get, where is the mic? Please, let's start it. Unless you are full and now you are already dozing.
Hello. Question to Molapo et al.
Molapo's question, okay?
Yeah,
Just be loud. Mm-hmm.
At the introduction, she said that it was too risky for the farmers there to sell their produce at the outdoor market. I need some elaboration of the risks. So what makes it too risky? Obare et al., your use of ANOVA in experiment 2, or your explanation of the same is not convincing. And also the use of the language abortion, could it be miscarriage instead of abortion? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. The next one? Here, okay, behind.
My name is Richard Mulo. I have a question to Obare concerning the physiology of light that you are presenting to us. We know physiologically that white LEDs emit in the blue spectrum. Why would they promote flowering? That's my question.
Okay. Here and here, and then I think those are enough. Others, unless it's so burning with fire.
Thank you. I'm Florence Diacono from Meru University. My question is to Jie.
Mm-hmm, Jie.
You did not tell us the common microbial diseases in dairy animals, and she also told us that the farmers are using human drugs to treat animals. We know that the human drugs, the drugs that are used for humans are just the same. It's only the dosage and package. So I would want to know, are they using the packaged drugs meant for human, or what does she mean? Thank you.
Okay. And then there was Dean Sands.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair, and thanks to presenters. My question goes to Njie again. It's almost related to the question that my colleague behind me has just asked. You focused on maybe the knowledge, attitude, and practices of use of these antimicrobials for treatment, and especially the one you talked about, the human drugs being used for the treatments in animals. But the question is it because of the attitude, or are they effective enough on the animals that the farmers prefer using them than going for the normal veterinary drugs? Thank you.
Okay, let's start with the online response from Molapo. Did you hear the question, Molapo?
Molapo, are you online?
ICT. Molapo, are you there?
He's not there.
Okay. Let's go to, I think there was a question for Obare. Obare, you can come up, and then after that, we have Muroki, and followed by Njie, okay.
Mulapo is back. I don't know if you can,
Oh, he's
listen
back.
to. Yeah.
No problem, just sit here. Okay, Molapo, can you answer your question? Did you hear the question?
Can you hear us, Mulapo? I think we'll just take the physical.
Thank you for the questions. Let me start the use of ANOVA. So for the use of ANOVA, we compared the data on the treatment. That is where the treatment where the plants were exposed to the light, and then a treatment where the plants were not exposed to any light. And then with that, the parameters, I talked about the number of flowers, the height to first branching, those parameters. With the comparison, we were able to see that our treatment, where we had light, it was significant. Okay? And the other question on abortion. You realize the term abortion can be used at various contexts. But on our context here is these flowers and inflorescence falling immaturely. Okay? So with that and miscarriage, with our context, I think miscarriage cannot be a term to be used. And when it comes to flowering, the term abortion cuts across in flowerings in all jurisdiction. And the other question was on the physiology of light. Yes, for the white LED, we use 100 watts. And among these wavelengths that are there, the white LED lights, we have the wavelength that is that is comparable to the red light. That is a 660 nanometer wavelength. In comparison to the red light, the whole of red light provides the whole of 660. But for this white light, we have that, apart from the other wavelength, we have this wavelength which is similar to this other one, to this other red light. And with that, as I said in my presentation, this is one of the experiments that in cassava, not in other crops, because a lot of work has been done in flowers, but in cassava, basically this is the first experiment that we used white light, not only in Kenya, but also in other jurisdictions. Works that have been done maybe in Brazil, Uganda, they used red lights. And the concluding bit of this work was, in circumstances where you cannot get the red light, use the white light. And in our country, because that we were setting out this experiment, we wanted to use the red light. And from the sources that we were looking for, and importing, and the time frame, so we went for the white LED lights. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the other issues you can see, Obara is here. Jay, you want to come?
Okay. Regarding the first question, I think it was like, what are some of the common diseases? According to the data we collected, some of the common diseases were myotitis, parasitic infection, diarrhea, and ECF. Those were the most common diseases that are mostly found in the dairy production systems, dairy production farms. And also, when it comes to the human drugs, yes, they have almost the same chemical composition, but you will find they are like both the ones that are used in the animals and the ones that are used for humans. There are a slight difference in the chemical composition. That's why they are always verified like strictly for veterinary use only, and this one for human use only. And the reason why we have to sensitize farmers to reduce uses or totally stop using human drugs for the animals is the end, like at the end product. Because like now, if they use the drugs from meant for humans, and the residues is in the milk, and the milk is consumed by the human, like the residue of that drug is going to the human, and you are increasing the more chance of resistance of the drugs. So like we are not only limiting them using the human drugs, but also even the veterinary drugs, like how they can minimize the use of antimicrobials itself. But using the human drugs in animals, you are increasing the chance of resistance. So that is the reason why those ones, we are to synthesize them to reduce this one. And the other one was like whether they have like the attitude of them using the human drugs. That one is also a gap that have to be studied, but some literatures are saying is because like some farmers, before they get access to certain like to the veterinary extension workers or to veterinary officials, it takes time. So they would rather just go to the human pharmacy that is closer to them and just buy a drug that is similar to the one that is like the from like the antibiotics that is similar to the one that can treat that, and they just give it to the animal. And sometimes they would give it to the animal, but it will not treat 100%. So there is the chance that like it will not treat the animal 100%. So it will just continue increasing the presence of resistance pathogens in the animal, which will affect the humans by consuming either the meat or the milk. I think I've answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you. I actually treated myself with livestock tetracycline just the other day. I decided to use it on my wound, and it actually treated me. Otherwise, I would not be here. And I think the only thing I did, I think I used what she said, little by little, and the disease went away. Long. Okay, Professor Bebe, I'll take care. But I'm now feeling better. Okay, now I want us to move to the other presentations, and for what we call gender equity, I would like to request Nanjom to come and present, then we go to the others. Is that okay? And after Nanjom, we'll have Sonko. Sonko is there, isn't it? I want just to confirm. And then you are also there, isn't it? And then you. And then we'll have the two people who are online. They'll present last. So we add everything, and please, again, pick the yellow cards. As the presentation go on, you can make sure you write the question with the name of the presenter. Okay. So, you will come here? Yeah, I'm putting the laptop thing. Control? Control P. No, not Control P. This one. Sorry, it disappeared. The thing disappeared. What you did, get it back. Sorry, I missed. Not it is this P. This and P. Yes. Then you get the duplicate. Double click. Should be there. Then just click outside. So, and then do that. And you need to share screen. Can you share screen? The thing is shared. But is it online? No, it's not online. They're using the camera. Oh, they're using the camera. Yeah, they're using the camera. Okay, then. So, Najom, you have 9 minutes of presentation and 1 for conclusion. Conclusion is not a presentation.
So good afternoon. I'm aiming to be the shortest presenter ever in this conference at the end of the day. So I hope everybody can see me. Yeah, so I'll be presenting this paper, Knowledge Roles in Agricultural Information Networks, Evidence from Dairy Information Networks in Nakuru County. My co-authors are Oscar Ayuya, Ingasia, and Professor Aquilas Mutuku Kalio. Just to set the stage, by nature, man is social. Man is social. Man over time has always wished to form alliances for purposes of even getting food, for purposes of even getting information. I imagine that even the primordial man was somebody who needed information. Maybe if there was a war that was coming, he needed to know and how he would be able to arrange himself. So it is in that context that this paper is based. This paper is an outcome of my thesis, one of the objectives, right? So even in the context of farming, there has always been need to form networks. Farmers have always failed. Other farmers have their source of farming advice, form of information, and the ability for farmers to innovate, share their own experiential learning is well documented. I wouldn't go to this sector, but just to emphasize that dairy sector is a very, very important sector in Kenya, contributing upwards of 8% of overall GDP, 12% of Kenya's agricultural GDP. So I contextualize the problem by beginning with a lament. And it's a lament that is common to African agriculture: low yields, low productivity, high production costs. At the same time, when we talk to the dairy, in the context of the dairy sector, we are talking about upwards of 4% annual milk demand growth due to such factors, amongst them urbanization. So it's a sector that is growing each and every coming year. And if that is the case, if there is to the extent that there is a problem of milk deficit, one will argue that it's a problem that is worsening over time. And this paper basically presupposes that it might be a function of extant inefficiencies existing in dairy information networks, and especially these inefficiencies in the way knowledge is diffused, within these networks, leading to suboptimal farm outcomes, right? And these inefficiencies may actually be a function of the roles farmers are playing in the process of diffusing knowledge within this network. So there's a need for us to interrogate how these roles may be contributing to this suboptimality. So that's my aspirational objective. But germane to this paper, the objective is to identify factors determining the likelihood that dairy farmers playing very knowledge deficient roles in agricultural networks are. And my study area was in Nakuru County. 3 knowledge different roles are contemplated. There's a knowledge sharer, there's a knowledge broker, there's a knowledge seeker. I wish to state from the outset that it's not that one typical farmer will have only a role of sharing alone. So that the roles are not really distinct. I'm looking at this being the dominant behavior. So that if we talk about a knowledge sharer, it will be that farmer whose dominant behavior is to provide help and to share knowledge on dairy topics. A broker will be a mediator of some sort between maybe the sharer and the seeker in terms of sources of dairy knowledge. And lastly, we have the seeker, whose dominant behavior will be to ask for help on a given dairy topics. In terms of the dairy networks, we ex ante posited that there could be division in terms of farmers who can be said to operate in formal dairy networks and those who operate in informal dairy networks. Those who are operating in formal dairy networks will be those who are deemed to be registered by a formal body, and this body could be a state or an unstate. So we have bodies like Kenya Dairy Board, we have maybe formal circles, we have even these big dairy creameries, as opposed to the one who will be existing in an informal network and who will not be maybe enjoying possible advantages that will be accruing out of being registered by these formal bodies. Right, that's my conceptual framework. It's a network study. So we are presupposing that there's a structure acting on a given domain, and this domain made up of these 2 types of networks, formal networks and informal networks, them operating and in terms of diffusing knowledge, and this giving rise to some outcomes, farm outcomes in terms of farm performance, efficiency, margins, costs, and revenues, and of course that impacting on the farm outcomes like dairy yield, dairy income, and depending on these outcomes, this basically providing a feedback loop in terms of either strengthening the network structure or, as it were, weakening the same. Right? That was my study area, the shaded area. Nakuru comprises 6 sub-counties. Out of those 6, we performed this data collection in 4 of them: Molo, Gilgil, Njoro, and Rongai. The sampling was multi-stage. First one, purposive, choosing the county. Stage 2, purposive, choosing the sub-county. And in terms of the wards to conduct the study, we conducted using a random sampling. And then from those 2 wards per sub-county, we performed snowball sampling to select the dairy farmers. Right. My sample size was 390. Well, sorry about that. Okay. My sample was distributed, as you can see, in those 4 sub-counties: Gilgil, Molo, Njoro, and Rongai. I used multi-manual logit, as you can see, and those were my variables: age, gender, educational level, kinship, group leadership, node weights, age weights, extension access, and whether kin is in leadership. Just to maybe provide a backstage to especially the node and age weights. Age weights were basically used as proxies for the number of informational links existing between one farmer and the other farmers. And at the same time, the node weights was used as a proxy to engage in terms of the prominence or the centrality of a farmer within a given network. Now, in terms of the results, the 2 networks were almost evenly split. 53% were in formal network, and 47% were in informal networks. In terms of the knowledge roles, almost 2/3 of the farmers were knowledge seekers. Just above 1/3 were knowledge sharers, with about only 2% being brokers. And yesterday when I was making the slide, I couldn't help but wonder whether this is because of the bad press brokers do have typically here in Kenya. So maybe we need to investigate that further. So with regard to the multinomial, I used the knowledge seeker as the best case, and at the same time, I ran the regression on the 3 network types: the composite basically being an amalgam of both the formal and the informal network, and then a separate regression was run on the formal network, and another was run on the informal dairy and network. The circled betas basically represent the significant results that I got in the respective networks with regard to their relationship with the dependent variable, my dependent variable being the knowledge roles. So as we can see here, gender, age weights, extension access, and group leadership were significant results in the composite network with regard to the knowledge sharer and the best case, who is the knowledge seeker. So at the same time, in the formal network, for the brokerage, age and group leadership was significant in terms of the brokers and the knowledge seekers. And lastly, in the informal network, only educational level was a significant variable with regard to a broker and the knowledge seeker being the best case. Maybe I just left this in terms of the knowledge sharers and the knowledge seekers in terms of the knowledge share in the formal network, gender, extension access, kinship in group, and group leadership was significant in terms of the results posed with the formal networks and the best case. Right? So I can say I only have 2 minutes, so I guess I just go to the conclusion. So my take home will be that with the results showing that women dairy farmers are likely knowledge sharers than seekers, there will be need for incentives in the networks for men dairy farmers to attend daily trainings. And that also proven that there will be further scope for future research on knowledge diffusion roles. We also found that men dairy farmers are twice as likely to be knowledge brokers than women farmers. So this basically provides a gender dimension to these knowledge roles, that basically we are finding a situation that is perennial, not only in agriculture, but even in the world, whereby there seem to be some bias which advantages men farmers to basically leverage on their dairy knowledge, as few as they are, to benefit from the same, as opposed to women farmers. The network might be failing to provide sufficient incentive to women farmers to leverage on their dairy knowledge for their income. In terms of extension access, the results show that there is a latent demand that exists for the provision of these extension services. So maybe there is a case to be made for incentive to be provided by both public and private extension service providers in order to uptake on these extension services. Lastly, group leaders are found to be likely knowledge sharers, and this basically might be supported by literature, whereby you might find that it is basically these central farmers that are more trusted with the leadership positions. So that strategies promoting shares of dairy expertise between leaders of dairy groups and group members are recommended. Lastly, the use of social media is also recommended for its instantness, relatively instantness, and relative inexpensiveness compared to traditional extension approaches. I think the last bit was to talk about the only significant variable in the informal networks, whereby we found that better educated farmers more likely to be knowledge seekers than brokers in these informal networks. And basically, I'm concluding that the policy implication that there will be possible high opportunity cost existing in procurement of dairy information, possibly leading to better educated farmers preferring non-dairy economic activities, and the converse will be said to exist for less educated farmers. Lastly, possible incentives existing in the networks might be failing to draw in better educated farmers towards dairy farming, because what we are finding out is that basically these better educated farmers are choosing non-dairy economic activities as opposed to dairy economic activities. I thank my sponsor, SESAM, and also I thank Egerton. I thank also the conference, also the Nelson Mandela Institute of Science and Technology. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can go back to your seat. Thank you very much, Nanjom. Just keep on. We'll still come back to you when we come to question. I would like to go on with the milk, and now we have Sonko.
Another one.
Keep on changing, eh?
Yes.
Sonko.
Yes. I'll go through this. Through this. I'll move from this. Okay. Just from this one.
No, then they put it to.
Then from this. Huh? Good afternoon. My name is Landon Songo, and then I'll be presenting on the level of milk yield associated with different kinds of practices. My co-authors are Professor Bebe and Professor James Ondiek. So, introduction, cow drain of practices basically is a critical period where the dairy animals or a cow will be temporarily stopped from milk production to prepare for the subsequent lactation cycle. These practices plays an integral part in the dairy farming production. So the timing and the method of these practices can significantly impact the milk output and the cow health in the subsequent lactation cycle. With the increased intensification in dairy production, most farmers predominantly prefer animals that will produce high yield of milk. However, this animal that will produce you, however, a high quantity of milk can basically be affected in terms of their production, their productivity, their health and welfare if this practice or period has been poorly implemented. The objective of the study is to determine the level of milk yield associated with different kinds of practices that farmers in Nakuru Perioban deployed. Material and method of the studies was a cross-sectional survey and a random sample of lactating cow were used. Basically, cow with successive lactation, the present and just ended lactations were sampled from the other animals. The statistical analysis that was used to establish this work was general linear model. These are the procedures for that. Basically, the results indicate the milk yield of the drain of practices. So you can see the different drain of practices that farmers were deploying in Nakuru Perioban. So to save time, I will move from there. This also represents the frequent distribution of the categories of the animals that these farmers were keeping. So we also established the number of animals based on categories, based on the large, small, and then the order, to also establish whether they also will have any impact on milk yield as the process of drying off with the breeds of animals. The study also established that one. So these are basically the length period of drying off. So many books have stated that 60 days is equivalent, is appropriate for drying off practices. So we also established to know what are the period of drying off practices that farmers in the Perioban Nakuru were doing. So we have 60 days below and then 60 days above. So we can see from the data, 64% of the farmers were practicing, were observing the period of 60 days and below, whilst 35% were observing 60 days and above. So basically, this is the interaction of the drying of practices plus the breed and the milk yield. So as you can see here, the milk, yes, it was significant. The model was significant rather. Then the drying of practices also was significant, whilst the breed was not significant. So in conclusion, drying of practices significantly explained by milk yield at the moment of drying off, but the model only explains variation of 7.1% in milk yield, not significantly explained by the breed. So basically, what does this mean is that drying of practices significantly influence the milk yield, whilst the breed has no significant difference on the milk yield. while the variation of the milk yield for the model is 7.1%. Before I make my acknowledgement, okay, let me just acknowledge. To save time. No problem. Yeah. I would like to acknowledge the dairy farmers in Nakuru Peroban, and also the Department of Animal Science, Egerton University, and the government of the Gambia for their relentless support during my course of the studies. And also, more importantly, to my supervisor, Professor Bebe, who is present in the mix. So I thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Sonko. You have saved us time. Is it because Professor Bebe was looking at you? But he has done very well because he went to the point and gave us what he did, what are the results, and what are the conclusions. So with that spirit, can we hear about camel herd structure? The same spirit. And don't ask me why I'm not using the flower. I'll tell you at the end.
I hope this is the revised one. That was the revised document. We can check.
Do we have her presentation? The revised one?
The revised.
Revised? Is there a revised one behind there, or it's here? It's here. Okay.
Oh, you want to the other time or? I didn't know when they used that laptop or the other.
And then after hearing about the camel one, we have two online. Two more online.
Hello.
Okay, we have two more online. That is Tabo and what's the other name? So we'll listen to those and then we have questions at the end. Please go on.
Good evening.
7 minutes and then two.
Yeah.
Conclusion.
My name is Florence Diacono from Meru University, Department of Animal Science. My co-authors are Bernard Jehia Puretengohio and Joshua Aremi. Introduction. Like we had in the morning, there's demand for protein in human diets, and most animals provide the most needed protein. And there's demand for animal products due to urbanization. And the arid and semi-arid lands, we have pastoralists, can seize that opportunity to produce animal proteins. However, there is a challenge of climate change, and what they are doing is that they are responding to that, and they are preferring animals that are resilient, such as the camel. However, that is not enough. They may need to change husbandry practices to something which is climate smart, and this is by changing the herd structure in terms of the size and age. Now, it has been, literature has it that pastoralists select males when it comes to camel production. They do the selection for males, but they cull females, especially those that have reproductive problems. And in their cells, they use a method of testing one parameter of reproduction, testing whether the camel is pregnant after mating by using the tail cocking method. While in science, we rely on testing the levels of progesterone, and that is the hormone which maintains pregnancy. That is what we believe in science. And in non-pregnant camel, it ranges from 0 to 2.73 nanomoles per liter. And this level of progesterone increases to 7.4 2 days after mating, and it is maintained or increased through pregnancy. Now, there is scanty of information on whether the pastoralists are deliberately adjusting the hand structure, and it is not known whether that deliberate change, if it is there, it affects performance. It is also not known whether that method of tail cocking is effective or not. Therefore, the objectives of this study were to determine the hand size, age, and sex percentages in Isiolo and Marsabit, also assess the effect on hand proportion on milk production in both wet and dry season. The other objective was to determine the accuracy of the tail cocking method, now compared to the scientific method. Methodology, the study area. The study was carried out in Isiolo and Marsabit counties. These are the traditional camel keeping counties, and Isiolo has over almost 150,000 distributed in about 7,000 households, while Marsabit has over 200,000 in 22,000 households. The study design was cross-sectional, and this was dependent on recall for 1 year before the study was carried out. The sample size was calculated using a formula by PEFA. It is shown there, and we got 379. But considering that there may be non-responses and incompleteness, we took a sample size of 388. A two-stage sampling method was applied. For stage 1, we purposefully sampled 2 sub-counties in Isiolo, that is Garbatula and Isiolo, and 1, that is Lysamis in Marsabit County. In the second stage, we took a convenient sample drawn from camel keeping households who were willing to participate. And with this, a sample size of 140 in Isiolo, 248 in Marsabit was attained, and this was proportional to the number of households keeping camels. The data was collected from key informant, focus group discussion, observation, and questionnaire, which was uploaded in Kobo Collect app. Blood was drawn from the jugular vein and analyzed for progesterone, and levels were in nanomoles per liter using a method chemiluminescent microparticle immunoassay. Statistical analysis applied in this study were descriptive correlation and linear regression to show the effect of the hand structure on performance, or at 95% confidence level. Now, the results, we find that the hand size was 52 and 45 in Isiolo and Marsabit, respectively, and the range are shown there. In the 2 counties, it was ranging from 3 to 204 camels per herd on average. The overall ratio of males to female was 1:1.87, and in Isiolo it was 1:2.8, while in Marsabit it was 1 is to 1.7, meaning in Isiolo, there are more females in the hand of all ages than males. And like you can see in that diagram there, you can see all females, the percentage was more than males in Isiolo, while in Marsabit, all males, the percentage was more, meaning Isiolo are deliberately adjusting the hand structure towards the females. In Isiolo, now this is production. In Isiolo, it's only 7% of the households that produce less than 10 liters per hand per day, while in Marsabit it is 53. So production is poor, and is poorer for Marsabit than Isiolo. And in the dry season, 69% of Isiolo produce more than 10 liters and per day, while 64% in Marsabit produce less than 10 liters, and that is in the dry season. Reproductive parameters, we found age first calving was more or less the same in the two counties, but the calving interval was slightly better in Marsabit than Isiolo. Likewise, lactation period was shorter in Marsabit than Isiolo. Now, the effect of proportion, the hand structure, the proportions, the age and sex proportions on milk production, that is now in the linear regression. We found the coefficients, the age which was very significant was the females 6 to 8 years, and also females above 8 years and not breeding. And we find that increasing the proportion of females 6 to 8 years by 1 unit increased milk production per camel per day by 18% and 26% in wet and dry season, thank you, respectively. The correlation of the scientific method and the traditional method of tail cocking found that the correlation coefficient was it was positive, 0.054, very weak, though positive, and it was not significant. Discussion. The average camel hand size in both counties contrasted with Manyumba, who reported in a study that the hand size, the average hand size was 7.1. Probably that study was done in Garissa in 2015, and probably that time the climate change had not taken at all for them to decide to change from cattle to camel. But in another study, it was found that also not consistent. The ratio was 1:13, and this indicated very high number of females related to males in a study by Case 2013. And this shows that they are deliberately adjusting the structure to females for milk production. But another study found, that is by Seifu 2019, the ratio was 1:1.3 because in that place they were keeping camels for other purposes, for tourist attraction, but not milk production. The long calving interval translates into long milking period because it has been found that once there's conception in camels, they suddenly drop milk in the first trimester. Milk production is better in wet season, in Isiolo and Marsabit, both wet and dry, because of the deliberate adjustment of age and sex percentage. This is because the technical efficiency in utilization of resources improves when there are more animals that are milked. The slightly long calving interval in Isiolo, despite the high production, can be explained by the fact that when resources are scarce, production and reproduction may not be achieved all at the same time. There's a bit of trade-off between production and reproduction, and this is according to Rao and Glasser. Traditional scientific methods are not correlated, and this may explain why, according to Benaisa 2016, we found that 21% of camels that are cowed, female camels that are cowed, are actually found to be pregnant when they are already slaughtered. There was a slight correlation, a positive correlation, very minimal, which may be explained by the fact that probably cocking the tail could be related to some progesterone levels in the estrous cycle. And this has been established by Skidmore that when camels are treated with progesterone, exogenous, they show some cocking the tail. Conclusion, hand composition adjustments can be done with the knowledge of pregnancy diagnosis, which is a very critical reproductive parameter. Isiolo County pastoralists are adjusting the hand structure to females of economic importance. However, calving interval is compromised and also lactation period. The recommendation is that the pastoralists can strategically implement hand structure and improve on feed and other resources so as to achieve production and reproduction. Further, the study recommends provision of animal health services, animal health and production, as well as extension. Further research can focus on defining the development of a more cost-effective method of PD. Acknowledgements, KU, MUST, our Sonyiro Development Authority, we use their camels, Lancet Laboratories, and the veterinary staff in Isiolo and Marsabit, and NRF for funding the research. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for talking about camels. We please just take your seat as we wait for two last presentations, then we have all the questions together. Please, if you don't have the yellow ones, this orange, please pick it and keep noting any comments. We'll be able to come back to you. So we have two online, last ones. Ntabo, we passed her because we could not get this online. Please, is it now? Is the person online now? Ntabo, can you hear us? ICT, you said Ntabo is back. Can you also check on Lochampa?
Yes, I'm online, Prof.
Okay, go on now. Can you share your screen?
Yes.
Please do, and you have 8 minutes. Share your screen. Can I close this? Can you come and help here?
Can you see my screen? Okay.
Just a minute. We are trying to connect to you. Then see.
Okay.
Just also check, is Lochampa online?
Lochampa, can you hear us say something? Lochampa.
After Ntabo, it will be Lochampa. ICT, just try to...
Yeah, Lochampa is on standby.
Ah, good. Just let him not go away now. After Ntabo is Lochampa. Okay, now, Ntabo, you can now share your screen. Can you share again? Try it again, once more. Ntabo, can you now share your screen once more?
Already shared the screen. It's shared already.
Is it shared?
Yes. Respond to that cue that is right there on the screen.
Okay.
It's now connecting. That's unbelievable.
It's reconnecting, eh? I think. Yeah, it's there. Tabo, can you now proceed? We can see your screen.
Tabo, you can go ahead with the presentation. We can see your screen.
She's gone, no?
I think she's just organizing that presentation because you can see the cursor moving. So.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. Ntabo, are you there? Ntabo, are you there? No, it's not me. It's a host there. Agnes. Agnes.
Agnes, if you can hear us, please unmute the participant.
He's asking that you unmute. I think he's not hearing. And the person who is there, the host, is not allowing any unmuting here. Where are you supposed to unmute?
Kindly click on the unmute button.
ICT.
You're unmuted.
Can
you hear us?
We'll bring AI to do this work.
Okay.
I hear AI does a good job. I don't know who AI
Okay.
is.
Okay, my name is Agnes Ntabo. I'm a student from Egerton University. My supervisors are Dr. Dixon Okello and Dr. Elijah Muhange. The title of my paper is on the determinants of utilization of banana value addition amongst mosquito agripreneurs a case of Kisii County. My outline starts from background up to conclusion. So the introduction is banana are among the major fruit crops in the global economy. The global production is estimated at 105.3 million metric tons per year. The global production has increased by about 150% in the last 3 decades. And the contribution of banana farming, it has contributed to food and nutritional security, employment opportunities, and income generation. Banana is rich in minerals, vitamins, fiber, and energy, and also it can be eaten while fresh, cooked, or in processed forms. However, despite the economic and the healthy benefits of banana fruit, there are challenges which are facing the banana entrepreneurs, which include the low prices, the post-harvest losses, and inadequate incomes. However, value addition is among the best strategies to remedy the problems. But there is more emphasis which has been given to other crops such as potatoes, tomatoes, mangoes, and cassava, while little plantation has been taken under banana value addition. Moreover, there is no empirical evidence on the determinants of banana value addition. Statement of the problem is that the government and non-governmental organizations, they have tried to promote the value of banana fruit by adding value. Despite this, there is little utilization of banana fruit among small-scale agriculture in Kenya. Though there is an empirical information on determinants of banana value addition, it remains scanty. Therefore, TISTAT intends to fill this knowledge gap by using a case of Kisii County by adopting the Crutches double hurdle. The justification of the study, it helps in policy implications, whereby the factors that can be addressed to promote banana value addition in the long run will lead to contribution to the United Nations and Sustainable Development Goals 1, 2, and 3, the agricultural sector transformation growth and strategy, and the realization of Kisii County Development Plan. This is my conceptual framework, where we have the institutional and socioeconomic factors which influence the decision to utilize banana value addition or otherwise. And we have those who utilize and those who don't utilize banana value addition, whereby for those who utilize, I went to an extent of looking on how much do they use in the banana value addition, and now in the long run, how does banana value addition influence the performance of banana agri-enterprises in terms of gross margins. My study was taken in Kisii County, whereby 5 sub-counties were selected. The sampling formula that was adopted was Cochrane in 1993 formula. However, during the actual data collection, there was a response rate of 82%, which corresponded to 201 respondents, whereby my study adopted a multi-stage sampling procedure. The first one was purposefully selecting Kisii County and purposefully selecting 5 sub-counties in the second stage, and in the third stage, I selected the wards in the selected 5 sub-counties, and the first stage involved snowballing of value adders and single random sampling of non-value adders. The model specification was Crutches double hurdle, whereby the first stage was the decision to utilize or not. The second stage was extent of utilization, whereby in the last stage I came up with the joint equation. So the findings, the shown pie chart includes the banana value addition activities being utilized by agriculture, whereby flour milling was the highest, followed by slicing and drying, followed by sorting and grading, and followed by making recipes. So the research findings, first I used a t-test to see the significant differences between value adders and non-value adders under continuous variables, whereby I got that the value adders are very young compared to non-value adders. The value adders have a high land acreage, they harvest more bunches of banana, and they travel long distances to the market to sell their banana fruit and their products. They receive more extension visits and training compared to non-value adders. Under categorical variables, I used the chi-square, whereby primary occupation was significant, whereby those who had farming were doing farming compared to non-value adders who just depended on off-farm activities. Nature of the road, most of them they used moram roads. Under group membership, more value adders were engaged in group membership compared to non-value adders. Under the factors influencing utilization of banana value addition, I got that the main occupation was very significant. Quantity of banana fruit harvested was significant. Trainings was significant, whereby the more the agripreneurs get more trainings, they get more skills, they get more engaged in banana value addition compared to those who get less training. The distance to the market was significant, whereby banana value adders were traveling longer distances to find better market prices for their products compared to those who were near the market. Access to more roads also, it was significant. Group membership, the value adders were more engaged in group membership, whereby when entrepreneurs are engaged in group members, they can share ideas, the skills, and also do things in groups like group marketing. Access credit facilities, I got that it influenced negatively because value adders were not able to get the credit compared to non-value adders. Extension visits, the value adders received more credit. Extension visits influenced value. When you are getting more extension visits, you get more skills on agricultural technologies. On the extent of utilization of banana value addition, marital status, those who are married were not able to engage in value addition because they had more mouths to feed on the banana, so there was less surplus for value addition. Bunches harvested also influence the extent of value addition because the more you produce, the more you add value. Access to tarmac road also influenced, it was significant. Extension visits, the more you get extension visits, the more you add value. So conclusions, banana value addition were young, harvested more output, traveled long distances, received more trains and extension visits, practiced farming as their main occupation. However, they own small sizes of land. Under decision, the group membership, distance training, received extension visit, primary occupation, and the type of road networks whereby we have more and access to credit influence the decision to add value. Under extent to add value, extension contacts output harvested and marital status influence the extent to utilize banana value addition. Under recommendation, a multidisciplinary approach of stakeholders including policymakers, the counter national government, NGOs and research centers such as PVD are supposed to provide appropriate technical trainings to small-scale on serious banana value addition activities, and also invest in infrastructure and technology, creating a supportive policy environment for value addition in the banana industry. So the future studies are supposed to look at on perception of banana products, acceptance and willingness to banana value-added products, investigate marketing arrangement for banana value-added products, and also studies on banana value addition in other potential banana growing regions. Egerton University, Mastercard supervisors, agricultural extension officers, enumerators, and banana entrepreneurs are highly acknowledged. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's clap for her. Thank you. Just keep on for a few minutes. We'll be having one or two questions. Now we want to have our last presenter, Lochampa. I think we are doing very well because this session started at 4, isn't it? And we are supposed to start at 2. So we want to welcome Lochampa. Please, Lochampa, you'll also have 8 minutes so that you conclude for us the next 8 minutes. Can we have Lochampa?
Lochampa, are you online? Lochampa, can you say something if you can hear some audio?
As Lochampa puts the presentation online, I would like to announce that we'll be sending an online, the chair is here. We'll be sending an online.
Ntabo, kindly stop sharing your screen.
Communication for the purpose of evaluation of the conference. So please, when we send you, check your emails. We'll send it to all participants. So you will be able to get an email from the organizers here so that you respond. We kindly request that you respond when you receive the email. Let's get to Lochampa.
Lochampa, are you there?
Is he able to connect?
Just a
I
moment.
saw a text. You don't want to miss any.
Lochampa, kindly unmute yourself.
Or someone should write him a text if you have his number, a telephone number. Unmute. Who is saying unmute? If we can't, then we'll have to push him tomorrow for the first session. Huh? For sustainable agriculture is coming the day, the last day. We have sustainable agriculture the last day. Can you try him for the next 2-3 minutes? If it doesn't work, I think the secretariat will communicate to him.
Lochampa, can you say something if you are good to go?
As Lochampa says something, I did not use the flour. And everybody is asking why. Please, I think we can leave out that for the last day, because we have this session again. Where is he? Kindly unmute me. Can you unmute him?
He's the one who is supposed to actually unmute.
The host can do that.
Do we have Agnes? Agnes, can you hear us?
The way you invited him, you can actually unmute him. Oh, okay. But you give right to... I think, host, please communicate to him that he has been moved to the third day, and there is a session on sustainable and safe food. Another session similar.
Nice.
No, whoever is now coming, can we request committee chair that we move all those who have not come to the third day, if possible? Tomorrow afternoon.
Yes.
Where is it? Okay, I can see.
Tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, there is lunch break after lunch break.
Yes.
At Neswit.
Yes, if anybody missed, they can
So,
send an email
yeah.
to EU conference.
What now? The host, ICT, are you there?
Yes.
Please communicate to, just say everyone.
Lochampa, can you
communicate to everyone that those who missed will present tomorrow afternoon. Will be at Neswit. It's the same thematic area. Is that correct?
Yes, that's really correct.
That is safer for us than waiting. And now it's already 6:10 I like to get 2 burning questions because we don't want to keep us, so that tomorrow you are also strong. 2 burning questions. Yes, there is one there. And then please give him a microphone. Any other? Before I declare why I did not use the flower.
For Florence.
Huh?
Yes, thank you, Prof. My question or clarification goes to, sorry.
Okay, just go on.
Yes, goes to, sorry if I pronounce it in a wrong way, Tiakunu on camel.
Yeah,
herds.
from camel, for camel.
Yes. Now, having been interacted with pastoralists, they do a group herding of camels, yeah? I'm not sure if you did consider this, because the group camels have several households, maybe camels for several households. How did you account for this during your study? Thank you.
Any other?
Any other question? Burning question.
He has 3 questions.
Thank you. This one also still goes to Florence. This one I got it from Professor Bebe. 1, what does the hard structure reveal about production objectives of pastoralists? What does the hard structure reveal about production objectives of pastoralists? Secondly, what influences the calving interval? What influences the calving interval? And lastly, how does it work practically in adjusting hard structure with pregnancy diagnosis? How does it work practically in adjusting hard structure with pregnancy diagnosis? And then mine is, what is the optimum sex ratio, male to female for camels? What's the optimum, the allowed amount of males to females? And then there's something here for Oyuki John from Professor Bebe. He said, your sampling process is very complex. From this one is what? Okay, but he said something, it should be probit, but then random, then purposive, then snowballing. So you should be able to justify why you used all the models existing on this one.
Oh, sampling approaches.
Yeah.
You used so many sampling approaches. So let's start with Camo, and then we finish with Nanjom, and we close.
Can I come there?
You can just talk where you are.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the many questions that I have.
You don't have to answer all. You can answer one burning one. The one you think is very serious.
Oh, the one I think is very, very serious is the one on production objectives. Yes, I know the reason why there is a discrepancy in Isiolo and Marsabit. What is coming out clearly is that the production objective of the Isiolo pastoralists is dairy production, while the objective for Marsabit is something else, because it was very clear they have more of what you'd want for a dairy industry. I'm sure those who presented before me talked of dairy farming around Nakuru, and I'm sure in the current dairy farming structure, there are no males. So it is like Isiolo is changing towards becoming a camel dairy production area. That's the one I thought is burning.
Thank you. I think the rest you can discuss. Nanjom, the question was very long sentences of sampling.
Thank you, Professor. And actually, I had even an occasion to even engage with the Prof before he left on the same. And I can assure you that for the last 1 hour, I've been ruminating seriously on the very, very same question. As I explained to him, I began by, it's a multi-stage, four steps. Of course, there's one for choosing the county for its dairy farming potential. Then stage 2 for the sub-counties we chose for the same reason. Now, when it came now to, because Professor had an issue with the why purposive and then random. I think at the 3rd step, I decided that because you already have this high potential and high medium potential, to choose the words, I thought that it was there was some sort of an equality. It will not matter which word I chose. So that was the wisdom that informed me going for the random sampling for that stage. But I start guided.
Okay.
You are my seniors.
No problem. I think you will have a discussion with Professor Bebe on the side, and then you can conclude on it. Any other burning one? Okay. I didn't want to leave someone out. Can we give the presenters? Thank you very much. Even those who are online, thank you very much for nice presentations. Tomorrow, we have another session on sustainability of food safety issues and biotechnology here. No, in next week at 2. So those who missed 2 p.m., both Lord Egerton here and, of course, at 2, we'll have that session. So those who missed and could not connect, please try to connect tomorrow, those who are online. But those who are online also, we want to thank you for keeping up to this late. Those who are here, thank you for sitting here. I can see the seats are still half full, according to me. Don't say anything else. So I want to thank the chair. I don't know whether you should allow the chair to come, but appreciate the team for giving us all the opportunity to have this presentation and all your comments. There is those orange questions on the orange pieces of paper. Please bring them so that we can have the questions responded to if you have more. I didn't use the flower because I learned if I start giving men, they'll start thinking otherwise. There are a lot of gender issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor George and Dr. Makura. We really appreciate you have helped us to catch on the time.